I'd like to thank Tuan for his comments and his observations. And I shall try to be as fast as I can because we're running behind and we have quite a few colleagues still to comment. I'd like to focus on the issue of knowledge in the age of AI. Sorry, better? Down. Better? On the issue, I'm talking about knowledge as a variable, as a factor, etc. No? Okay? And on the salience of knowledge in the AI age, and by that, I mean that knowledge is very important. Of course, data is fundamental. We know that. And of course, data is essential for computational representation. We know that. So essentially, it is giving knowledge a position that, or posture that we have to take seriously and be very careful about the quality that we're talking about. If knowledge is to be the core of a platform, knowledge platform. So I have three observations briefly that I will make, and then and with each a quick takeaway. I'd like a comment. I'll start with AI and the global economy, and then AI and the knowledge society, and then finally, really some imperatives for knowledge in any platform. The comment that I'd like to share with you about AI and the global economy is a comment that was prompted by a recent article in Foreign Affairs that I found very, very compelling. And the point of that article is that without a new powerful incentive, a new force, a production force, the global economy really will succumb to some of the constraints that are built in. It needs a drive of some sort that we're not mobilizing well enough. And why? There's a list of reasons why, including persistent threats of inflation, including reduced labor supply, including increasing costs of capital, etc. And then the authors argue that the new impetus for making the global economy move as sustainably as possible must be anchored in increasing the value added of anything that we do. So the dilemma is not just reducing the costs, but doing something about the value added. So I conclude from this that AI really is a driver for a knowledge-based economy. We're moving in that direction, but we haven't really confronted that issue as a transition. Reason is that in the past, technology had very little effect on knowledge industries, or affecting the industry of knowledge, so to speak, on law, on medicine, etc. But with AI, we now know that the barriers, knowledge can really, if well mobilized, can really have a major effect on the nature of the systems that we're dealing with, law, medicine, again, and so forth. I don't need to tell you that machine learning, deep learning, et cetera, has helped us to move in that direction. So I see the takeaway here is that AI really is the opening to the accelerating our transition to a knowledge economy. Second point is, what's a knowledge economy? We know what that is. It is a society where knowledge-intensive activities contribute to the advancements of technology, scientific innovation, and you get this kind of reinforcement, where the element of the value really depends on the intellectual property, on the innovation that goes into it, on information and practices, etc. The reliance on intellectual capabilities. Now, I'm maybe overstressing this, but it's the intangible that the elephant in the room for us today is the content and the disposition and the uses of knowledge. And I'm making the assumption that with more and better knowledge, we can accelerate the transition to sustainability. So the phrase that, the cliche that comes out of this is creative instruction, and not creative destruction, if you remember from your old philosophy days. The takeaway of the knowledge economy is that we already see some of this in the features of generative AI that's pointing to the potentials for knowledge. And again, I don't have to give you the list. You know what the list is. Versatility, use of code and software, not just words, low barriers to entries, and so along down the line. The phrase AI assistance is just about everybody's language, lexicon, but it's the content of the knowledge that is being transacted that is, or expanded, that is really quite important to drive a knowledge base for and of the use of AI. Now, my third and final observation is about thinking about a transition from the notion of a knowledge platform. Platform is a word that's been used today enormously, but I'll restrict myself just to the knowledge platform, to maybe thinking about a knowledge system. And by extending the standard view of knowledge, we know what knowledge is. You can check the Webster Dictionary or any other source that you would like to take into account a cluster of understandings that we refer to as, that I would like to refer to as a knowledge system. And now, please bear with me, because it's blah, blah, yak, yak. It's not exactly day-to-day conversation, but when we think about a knowledge system in the context that I'm suggesting here, we're thinking about an organized structure and a dynamic process that can generating and representing content that is domain-specific as well as characterized by diverse characteristics and connections to other domains. That is reinforced by a set of logical connections or logical relationships in the content of knowledge that is enhanced, if you wish, through explicit iteration processes that we can understand, we can replicate, we can modify, we can reject. And all of the above subject to criteria of relevance, reliability, quality, and so forth. Underlying all this is the notion of ontology, structures of knowledge. Now, what I'd like to leave with you here is, as we begin to think about developing the knowledge platform, in my own mind, we're really talking about a knowledge system that has features along the following lines. Distributive capabilities for knowledge provision. The knowledge can come from lots of other places. Some form of quality management. Of course, this goes without saying. Built-in generativity functions, and those can be observed, restructured, analyzed, etc., as long as we know that they are generativity functions, and an overarching ontology, structure of knowledge. This is my own checklist for what we should be watching for as we bring Tuan's vision of the knowledge platform into operational production, designing and framing it in operational terms. And the reason this is important is because we know data is important. We take that for granted, and we know how to improve, evaluate. I think we know how to improve, evaluate, measure, etc. But we haven't really made a successful transition from talking about data, using data, embedding the value added for thinking about the output being a knowledge of some sort, and the transformation of that knowledge, transmission of that knowledge somehow into our social activities and into the global economy. Thank you for your patience.